Hi, my name's Councillor Sam Watts. I'm a UKIP Councillor sitting on Burton Latimer Town Council. Just wanted to do a quick video blog regarding a meeting that I attended last night in the village of Broughton. Basically what's been happening over there is they've had a spate of burglaries, and they've also got quite a few issues with speeding, which is a common problem in many villages and towns at the moment, and they wanted some answers. They wanted to speak to the police and representatives from the Police and Crime Commissioner's office to say, what are you doing about these burglaries and the speeding issue? So I went along, and it was open to members of the public, and it was very well attended. There was around about, I'd probably say about 150 people in attendance. We had Sergeant Scott Little from Northamptonshire Police. There was also Simon Clifford, who is one of the directors for the Office of Police and Crime Commissioner, so he was obviously there representing them. There was also the MP, Phillip Hollobone, and representatives from Neighbourhood Watch. The meeting started off with sort of a question and answers session, and understandably a lot of the people present were very upset and angry at what they perceived to be a lack of police presence and willingness to tackle issues relating to burglaries and indeed other crimes in the village. People are concerned. They want to see police on the streets. When I was a candidate for the Police and Crime Commissioner a couple of months ago, we obviously went around the county and we spoke to various groups of people, and the number one thing they said was they want to see more police officers on the streets. And here we are, the Police and Crime Commissioner who was elected, Stephen Mould, the Conservative chap, has been in office now for several months, and there has been no talk of putting more police officers on our streets. In fact, in last week's Evening Telegraph, there was a small article at the bottom of one of the pages which quoted Stephen Mould stating that he would actually consider reducing police numbers from 1,220 in order to fund new staff who would help tackle sort of online crime. There is a big difference between a victim of crime who has, let's say, £300-400 taken out of their bank account without their knowledge or consent, compared to somebody who wakes up and finds a burglar in their house, or they wake up and they find out that a burglar's been in the house and their possessions have been sort of ruled through, damaged, destroyed. It's an invasion of their privacy. It's a very personal attack being a victim of a burglary. And when I was a police officer, unfortunately, one of the biggest things I had to attend was burglaries after they'd happened. And it's heartbreaking, you know, when you go to visit somebody and they've been the victim of a burglary. Your home is your castle. You know, you don't want somebody entering into your sacred space, you know, where your family are. There's things there that are personal, things that mean so much to you. And I would argue that a victim of a burglary, or indeed any sort of physical assault or anything that involves harm at the time direct to the person, is a higher priority than cybercrime, cyber fraud. So my question was directed at Simon Clifford, the representative from the Office of Police and Crime Commissioner, and my question to him basically was, given that obviously on the Police and Crime Commissioner campaign pretty much everybody said they wanted to see more police officers on the streets, and residents at the meeting from Broughton had expressed they want to see more police officers on the street, will he and Stephen Mould, the Police and Crime Commissioner, look at their proposals for their crime plan that they currently have under consultation and put a conscious effort into getting more police officers on the streets? Unfortunately, before I could even finish the question, I was interrupted by Councillor Hakewell, who started saying, "Are you a local person?" And I explained, well, I live in Burton Latimer, so I'm fairly local. I have a business which operates throughout Northamptonshire, and that includes Broughton. I have customers in Broughton. I use a lot of the walks around the area in Broughton, especially the one down next to the allotments. So I know Broughton very well. I've got friends that live in Broughton, etc. And I've worked in the area for quite some time. And that didn't seem to tick the box. You know, he seemed very sort of upset about the fact that I was asking a question, yet I wasn't a resident of Broughton, although I was effectively asking a question on behalf of the people of Broughton, and indeed everybody else who over the past few months was saying we want more police officers on our streets. That's how we tackle crime. You know, these gimmicks and fancy projects and slogans and online banners, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. You know, we are losing the war on crime here in Northamptonshire. The reality is that community policing here in Northamptonshire, including Broughton, is non-existent. Sergeant Scott Little, he mentioned that he has doubled his amount of police officers that he has for the area which covers Broughton. And when he was sort of pushed on that a little bit more, it was explained that it was doubled from 2 to 4 police officers. And of course, the crowd sort of, there were giggles and chuckles. They'd say, well, great, four police officers. Somebody then said, well, what size area does that cover? And eventually, and it took a while to get it out of him, he stated it was around about 28 or 29 villages. Now, that's 4 police officers covering an area that consists of 28 or 29 villages. That's a huge area. Then he sort of tried to justify it a little bit more and say, well, I've also got PCSOs, I've got police cadets that can help, we've got the response teams that can also come into the area if need be as well, and he can also call upon other SCT teams, which are sort of community teams, safer community teams. And you know, I was sort of thinking, well, that's great, but arguably other areas could call on your officers and take you out of the area. So you know, it's not good enough. I'm sure if Sergeant Little could really say what he wanted to say without being sort of having his hands tied behind his back, he'd say, I haven't got enough officers, I want more, I need more. The public see what's going on our streets. You know, we're being burgled, we're being attacked, and we ring up the police and we're fobbed off. We're given a 101 number which is difficult to get through. Police officers rarely come out to take reports of crime anymore, or if they do, it's several days later. We're saying that we know who the burglars are. There's a majority, you know, there's probably about 35 people in the county that are the burglars. We know who they are. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. Saying you know who they are isn't getting them off the streets. It isn't protecting people in their properties. So there was quite a bit of frustration. The question directed at Simon Clifford, it wasn't actually answered. You know, there was a sort of a hold up of a piece of paper that's the proposal for the new Police and Crime Commissioner's police plan, saying, well, you know, we're looking to ensure people are safe and this kind of thing. But there was no commitment to more police officers. And like I said, if Stephen Mould is saying in the Evening Telegraph that he's actually thinking of reducing police officer numbers to fund other things, then that's quite serious. That's a big thing. My argument with all of this is 2 things. One, there isn't enough being done for the people of Broughton, the people of Burton Latimer, the people of Northamptonshire. We need more police officers on our streets. Fact. Anything else is fluff, basically. We need to see police officers on our streets. The other issue was obviously with Councillor Jim Hakewell having an issue with me not being from Broughton and asking a question. Now there were other people who asked questions who quite clearly were not from Broughton. There was one chap who was going on about Daventry and South Northampton neighbourhood watch schemes over there. He wasn't challenged. It shouldn't matter where I live. If you care about something, which I do, and you know, I live in Burton Latimer, my kids are here, and I'm very passionate about Burton Latimer being safe and being a nice place to live for residents. But also, I'm a person that lives in the borough of Kettering. I've lived in Corby in the past. You know, I've lived in Corby, Kettering, Barton Seagrave, and now Burton Latimer. I care about everywhere where I've lived, and I care about Northamptonshire as a whole. So I don't tend to be tribal and sort of say, well, I live in Burton Latimer, therefore I don't care about anything else. In the past, I've helped Desborough. There was a large housing development that was being proposed, and we helped set up a petition to effectively stop that, and it was thrown out. Rothwell recently, I stood in the by-election that we had the results for yesterday, and we knew it was a long shot winning that seat, but you know, there are people from Rothwell who have asked me questions, and I've given them advice, and I'm happy to help people in Desborough, Rothwell, Wellingborough, Northampton, Corby, wherever. You know, I'm not tribal in that I'm from Burton Latimer, therefore I cannot help anybody else. we all need to help each other as a society. You know, maybe this is one of the things that's going wrong, is we've all become quite insular. Interestingly, after the meeting, I tried to give Councillor Hakewell my business cards so I could explain, you know, get in touch and I'll explain to you my connections with Broughton and why I'm interested in it, and you know, what I've done sort of in the area so far, kind of thing. And he actually refused to take my business card, which is absolutely horrific. I mean, I've bumped into Councillor Hakewell a few times on the various political trails that we go on, and he's always seemed quite a nice, personable chap. And yeah, his jokes are a bit ropey, but he always comes across quite nice. There seems to be this thing where, with him and indeed with Broughton Parish Council. Now the story behind that is about 3 months ago there were 2 vacancies for Broughton Parish Council, and again, knowing that I'm sort of interested in standing for the county council seat, I thought, yeah, makes sense to go on Broughton Parish Council so I can understand the issues of the local people from a sort of an inside view. So I applied, and I said, you know, I'm more than happy to be a parish councillor, give up some more of my time to help the community and see what I can do, and offer my advice as a former police officer and business owner and that kind of thing. And they basically said, well, we've advertised the vacancies for a few months now, we haven't had any interest locally or any interest at all. However, we're going to give it another 3 months because we really want somebody local to stand in the seat. Now, that's fine, I get that to a degree, but nobody's come forward. And, you know, like I say, I'm within the boundary area. There is a defined sort of radius that you have to be within to stand within a certain seat, and I'm within that area. So, therefore, I'm eligible to become a parish councillor for Broughton. Now, I thought I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, I'll let them try and find other people. 3 months have now gone by, if not maybe 4, and I haven't heard a single thing. And it's the vacancies, both of them still haven't been filled, and I kind of feel, I don't know if it's a sort of a, you know, you're not from the village kind of mentality with it. I don't believe it is, because I know a lot of people in Broughton, they're very friendly and they're very open and welcoming to people. But there does seem to be this element of, you're not from around here, so you can't possibly join us and have an interest in things. It's either that, or it's because I'm a UKIP councillor and they're obviously defensive against that. Now that's irrelevant, because local politics isn't about party politics, it's about doing things for your community. I think in all the time, the year and a half now that I've been a councillor for Burton Latimer, I've never mentioned UKIP at a council meeting. You know, that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to do things for my local community. We seem to have this issue of sort of discrimination, really. I think that's the key. So it's either discrimination because I don't live within Broughton, although ironically, Councillor Hakewell lives in Braybrook, which is actually Market Harborough, Leicestershire. Yet he had the sort of the cheek, really, to have a go at me at the meeting and say, well, you're not a local resident, so you don't deserve to be able to ask a question, and I'm not accepting your business card because you're not from Broughton. And that's basically what he said. Yeah, he lives in Leicestershire. So anyway, I'll let you sort of think about that one. But in terms of the meeting itself, it was great to see that many people out. I mean, that was a very well attended meeting. I think that's enough from me for now, and you know, I appreciate everybody who watches my videos and shares them. If you could, that'd be fantastic. The more people that know what's going on in our communities, the better. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I can be found at www.samwatts.net. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. A quick search will find me there. So thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.